Good morning, boys and girls. I'm so excited to be back with you for another week of social studies. We're going to continue working on what you guys started on Friday, which is your KWL chart with our American Indians of North Carolina. Today we're going to focus mainly on the coastal plain Indians. We are going to be taking a few notes, and then you are going to have an activity to do today as well with our coastal plains. Please do make sure you are taking the notes, boys and girls. You're going to need them for today and also for your quiz on Friday. Okay? So with our coastal plain Indians, we're going to go ahead and start and talk about the three main types or tribes, of the coastal plain Indians. The three tribes that we're going to talk about first is going to be the Siouan, the Iroquoian, and the Algonquian. Okay. The Siouan tribe lived in the southern coastal plain, so kind of where we are. And for right now, I'm just going to put CP for coastal plain. And a Siouan tribe that was really, really popular or really, really well known when early explorers came was the Wakawama. The Wakama tribe. These words are a little bit tricky, boys and girls, so thank you for being patient with me. So the Wakama tribe was really well known for its Siouan tribe, but again, the Siouan, Iroquoian, and Algonquian were the languages that they spoke, and that's why they were put into these different categories. The Iroquoian, this is going to be the main one that we focus on. This tribe were found in the central coastal plain. And again, I'm just going to put CP for coastal plain. And the tribe that we're going to focus on is the Tuscarora. The Tuscarora. And what I'm going to do, boys and girls, is just put a little circle around them because, again, this is going to be the main tribe that we talk about today. The Algonquian tribe, they lived more in like the Outer Banks area, and they lived in the Tidewater. So they're going to live in that upper northern part of North Carolina, again, by like the water, the marshes, up where the outer banks are today. And the three main tribes with the Algonquian were the Secotun, Hatteras, and Pamlico. So as we keep going in with our unit about American Indians in North Carolina, you're going to see a lot of names pop up that, hey, I may have heard that before. Like we have the Pamlico River. That is where that name comes from. Maybe Cape Hatteras. So that's where that name comes. So a lot of times when Europeans and early explorers came and they settled new lands, they wanted to still appreciate the people that were here before them. And so they took their tribal names and used them for names to name rivers, waterways, even just some historic landmarks. We'll get into that a little bit later as well. Before we start talking more about the Tuscarora, I want to focus on, again, just the total look of the coastal plain Indians. So because they all did live in the coastal plain, they used similar resources, and that can be both more so natural resources and renewable resources. So they're going to be using waterways, they're going to be using trees the same way, but we'll get to that in just a little bit as well. They were also known to build their villages near water, and that was for a variety of reasons. That was for getting transportation purposes, for fishing, using it to water crops. There's a lot of different elements to that. A lot of them as well lived in rectangular houses called longhouses. And then also, boys and girls, it is important to know as well that with the coastal plain Indians, one thing that kind of separates them from the other tribes, which we'll get into later this week, the men and women worked together in these tribes to meet the needs of their people. It wasn't just the men doing all the work. The men and the women did specific things, but we'll talk more about those when we get into our Tuscarora. Okay. Also with our Tuscarora tribe, getting into that now, so we're going to make a new little note down here for Tuscarora. It's a fun name to say for our Tuscarora tribe. Tuscarora, again, they were in central coastal plain area, but there are still some Tuscarora that live in North Carolina today. They do follow the beliefs and their systems from a few years ago, from past years, but then they also do abide by today's laws as well. With them living in North Carolina still, they also live in New York and Canada. So when the earliest settlers came, and a lot of them did get pushed out, they traveled more north. Okay. With the Tuscarora tribes, just some important things to know about them, kind of where they were located. They would build their villages in a circular shape. They would build their villages in a circular shape. So it would look like a circle. And then around them, and I can draw an illustration over here as well. So we'd have our village in a circular shape. But then these were also the tribes that would take those trees, and then they would start building the walls around them for security, for protection. If you want to keep going all the way around, that's great. But again, those are just representing trees and logs that they would put together to kind of have that wall and that fortress around their village for protection. Okay. The Tuscarora did live in long houses and also in round houses. The round houses were more so made of clay that was found in that area in order to keep it strong and sturdy. The Tuscarora were also divided into clans. And for those of us that don't know what a clan is, again, I'm going to just kind of underline this, so we're focusing on that. It is a large group of relatives. So a very big family. And it would include, I'm going to make a little note, it would include several families. So aunts, uncles, grandmas, grandpas, everyone would be in that clan. So going back to what we talked about earlier, boys and girls, with the men and women working together to fit the needs of their tribe and also just to fit the needs of what they needed. The women of the Tuscarora tribe, and I make a second little bullet point. The women, we're going to focus on them first. They cooked, made clothing mainly from deer skin, collected firewood, and also made necklaces. And necklaces that they made were made out of wampum. Now that is, again, that's an Indian term, but what that stands for is that they're beads made from hard shells found along the coast. So wampum is just beads made of shells. And then the men of the Tuscarora tribe, they did hunt and made canoes from tree trunks. So they would cut down the trees, haul them out, and then they'd use their canoes for traveling. They'd also use to trade with other villages along the coast and also inland a little bit. We'll get into that tomorrow when we talk about our Piedmont Indians. So boys and girls, as always, with our notes, again, please make sure they are added. You will need them for your assignment for today. There are some things within the video that I've talked about that are a part of your assignment. So if you need to go back, they're part of your assignment, but they're not in our notes. So if you need to go back and rewatch the video, please do so. Okay, but everything for your assignment has been discussed today. But again, the notes more so is what's going to be needed for, again, your quiz on Friday, so we can focus more on our American Indians of North Carolina and then again, we'll get into our Piedmont region tomorrow, mountains on Wednesday, and then we'll do a little bit of projects, let you guys have a little bit of fun with that, and then we'll get to our quiz on Friday. All right, boys and girls, go ahead and do your assignment for today. If you have any questions, please let me know. Again, please make sure your notes are copied in. If you need me to go back over anything, I will gladly do so. But have fun, and I will see you guys tomorrow.